All right, welcome back, everyone. So today, we're going to be doing a deep dive into something that you actually sent over.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, an article about the Youth Resilient Project by Endeavors.
Okay.
It's right here in Texas, so very close to home, and it's tackling this issue of youth homelessness.
Right.
To be honest with you, it's not something I'd really thought about a lot until I started looking into this and seeing these numbers
Yeah.
and reading Nina's story, which is just heartbreaking.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, it's kind of an under the radar issue.
Yeah.
And, Nina's experience is just, it's so powerful, but it's unfortunately not a unique story.
Right.
And it really highlights how trauma and emotional distress, and especially that lack of support,
Right.
can just push young people into these incredibly vulnerable situations.
It's so true. And like you were saying, it's not just about not having a place to live.
Yeah.
The article calls them invisible wounds. And I think that's what really stuck with me is that it's not just about like, four walls and a roof. It's about like the mental health support that
Exactly.
these young people need.
Yeah.
But before we even get into solutions, I was just floored by this one statistic.
Right.
Over 230,000 youth and young adults experiencing homelessness just in Texas alone.
Wow.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's a staggering figure.
It's like a whole city.
And it's important to remember that ripple effect.
Oh, yeah.
Like we're talking about impacts on education,
Right.
increased strain on, law
Wow.
enforcement. It just creates this heightened sense of insecurity within a community.
Yeah.
So it's really a multifaceted issue.
Wow. Ripple effect. I love that.
Yeah.
Because it really makes you realize that it's bigger than just one person.
Exactly.
And the article even talked about how things like COVID really made it even worse,
Right.
especially for certain groups.
Yeah, that's where organizations like SARA, the South Alamo Regional Alliance for the Homeless, they provide some really valuable insight into all this.
Yeah.
And they've been highlighting how those disparities
Right.
related to race, gender, ethnicity, all of that can significantly increase the risk of youth homelessness.
Right.
And unfortunately, situations like a pandemic just make those inequalities even worse.
Of course.
It pushes these vulnerable populations even further to the margins.
It's just eye-opening to see how many different factors contribute.
Yeah.
But, enough of the doom and gloom.
Right.
Let's talk about solutions.
Okay.
So the article really focuses on Endeavor's Youth Resilient Project,
Right.
or YRP.
Yeah.
What jumped out at you about their approach?
Well, I think what's really impressive is that they have this very targeted approach.
Okay.
So they're working with young adults, specifically 18 to 24 years old in Bixar County.
Got it.
And they're really acknowledging that this specific age group faces these really unique challenges
Right.
that require a tailored approach.
Okay, so it's not like a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
Exactly.
And they're not just offering a place to stay, are they?
No, not at all.
It seems like they're going way beyond that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
YRP emphasizes that holistic model.
Okay.
So they connect these young people with all sorts of crucial services,
Right.
like, mental health counseling,
Yes.
job assistance,
Yeah.
and even life skills training.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. It's about addressing those root causes of homelessness
Mm.
and not just providing that kind of temporary relief.
Yeah, it's almost like they took Nina's story and were like, okay, how do we build something that would have helped her
Exactly.
so that others don't have to go through the same thing?
And that brings us to this $1.5 million grant they received.
Oh, yeah. What is that about? Is it just a lot of money or is there something special about this grant?
It's a little more than just a lot of money. I mean, it's a significant boost financially, of course,
Yeah.
but it's really a sign that their model is gaining some recognition.
Mm.
So this grant comes from the TX500 Youth Demonstration Homelessness Program,
Okay.
which is this statewide initiative that is looking for innovative solutions
I see.
to youth homelessness.
Okay.
So it's not just funding, it's this validation
Right.
from a program that's dedicated to finding and supporting the most promising approaches
Yeah.
to this problem. So it really puts YRP on the map as a potential model for other programs.
That's huge.
Yeah,
It's like they're saying, hey, you're onto something here. Let's see how far you can take it.
exactly.
But I'm also wondering, like, what does scaling up something like this actually look like?
Right.
Because I imagine it's got to be tough to grow and still keep that personal touch
Yeah.
and that effectiveness that really makes YRP so impactful.
That's a great question. And it leads perfectly into this larger movement that YRP is a part of,
Okay.
the hashtag WeSayHouseAllYouth Movement.
Okay.
And this is where I think the concept of collective impact comes into play.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this collective impact thing.
It's really inspiring, I think.
So it's kind of like those superhero team-ups,
Right.
but for fighting homelessness,
Exactly.
which I absolutely love.
Yeah.
The whole idea of we're stronger together, than we are apart. But um, I'm also curious, you mentioned collective impact. Is there like a more official definition for that?
Yeah. It's a great question.
Because I feel like I'm getting it, but like, how would you explain it to somebody who's never heard of it?
Yeah, so collective impact is this really structured approach to solving those complex social problems
Okay.
where you're bringing together all these different stakeholders.
Okay.
So government agencies, nonprofits, businesses, community members,
Right.
to work towards this common goal.
Got it.
And so they're all agreeing on this shared vision.
Yeah.
They track their progress together and they constantly communicate to make sure everybody's on the same page and their efforts are aligned.
That makes sense.
It's about creating this system where the sum is truly greater than its parts.
So it's like breaking down those silos and getting everyone working together
Exactly.
for the same outcome. But how does that actually work in practice?
Yeah.
Like, what does the House All Youth movement actually do?
Well, I think one of the most inspiring parts of this movement is that it's all about action.
Okay.
They don't just talk about the problem.
Right.
They're giving us like concrete ways to get involved.
Awesome.
And the article highlighted some of those things, like even just donating essential items,
Okay.
like food, hygiene products, household goods,
Right.
things that so many of us take for granted.
It's crazy how much those like everyday things can make a difference to somebody.
Absolutely.
Like thinking back to Nina's story, a toothbrush or a warm blanket could be huge.
Exactly.
And you know what? That reminds me, I have a whole drawer full of hotel toiletries
Oh, yeah?
that I've just been hoarding.
Perfect.
I bet those would be appreciated.
Exactly. Every little bit helps.
Yeah.
And of course, for those who can, financial donations are always welcome.
Right.
They go towards supporting all those critical services that help these young people get back on their feet.
So it's not just meeting the immediate needs, it's about investing in the future.
Right. Giving them the tools and resources to actually build a stable, independent life.
It's about more than just, a place to sleep.
And that's what makes programs like YRP so effective.
Yeah.
They recognize that housing is just one piece of this really complex puzzle.
Right.
And addressing those underlying issues is crucial for long-term success.
Right. So whether it's mental health or job skills or even just those basic life skills.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess to kind of recap what we've talked about,
Yeah.
we've got the scale of youth homelessness, which is pretty shocking.
Right.
We've talked about how it affects not just the people experiencing it, but the whole community. And then these innovative solutions like what Endeavors is doing.
Totally.
And this whole idea of collective impact working together.
Right.
It's a lot.
It is. It's a reminder that we all have a role to play.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a lot to take in, but it's so inspiring to see all these people and organizations working so hard to try to fix this.
It is.
But I think for me personally, and probably a lot of listeners, when you think about these big issues, it can feel overwhelming.
Right.
Like, okay, what can one person really do about all this?
I think that's a really common feeling.
Yeah.
But that's actually where this whole idea of collective impact comes in.
Okay.
It breaks it down into these manageable pieces
Right.
because even small actions, when you multiply them across a whole community, it adds up to significant change.
It makes sense.
So that brings me to a question I want to leave you with today.
Okay, shoot.
How can you, with your unique skills and resources, contribute to the solution?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about writing a check.
Yeah.
It's about thinking about what you specifically can do.
Exactly. Maybe you're amazing at social media and you can spread the word. Or maybe you're a great organizer and you could volunteer at a shelter. Or maybe you have experience in job training and you could offer that to a program like YRP.
Right. Yeah.
There are so many ways to get involved, and it really starts with thinking about your strengths and passions.
I was just talking to my friend who was feeling that exact way about climate change.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, what can I do? Just feeling really helpless.
Right.
And she loves gardening.
Okay.
And so I was like, well, why not volunteer at a community garden?
Right.
Teach people how to grow their own food,
Yes, sir.
build community, And it was like a light bulb went off.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's all about finding that intersection
Yeah.
between what you're good at and what the community needs.
Totally. And it doesn't have to be this huge thing.
Exactly.
Like even small, consistent actions can add up.
Right. Maybe commit to donating a small amount every month to an organization like Endeavors. Or, just Buy an extra bag of groceries when you go shopping and drop it off at a food pantry.
Yeah, just make it part of your routine,
Exactly.
like brushing your teeth, but for social good.
I love it.
Honestly, I gotta say, I'm feeling a lot more hopeful and empowered after this deep dive.
That's great.
I went from feeling overwhelmed to like, okay, I can do this.
I love that. That's what we want.
Yeah.
It's been such a pleasure diving into this topic with you.
Yeah, this was great.
And to you, our amazing listener, thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for caring, and thank you for your willingness to make a difference.
And thank you for sending us that article,
Yeah.
because it was really eye-opening.
It is.
So we really hope this deep dive has helped you understand this issue better.
Absolutely.
And inspired you to take action, however big or small.
Every little bit counts.
Exactly. Remember, even a tiny ripple can create a wave of change.
So true.
So what will your ripple be?